the other day after I read your book. And I thought, how does JD come up with these ideas? Because when they come into my head, I find them to be very disturbing.
Well, to me, it's therapeutic to put it down on paper. It's scary and it's in my head. Like it almost feels like it's trapped up there until I put it down on paper. And then it's kind of like I exorcised a demon and I can move on. So that's how I've always dealt with it. Like if you talk to thriller writers or horror writers in general, we're some of the most level-headed people out there. And I think it's because our therapy is the written word, what we're doing every day.
Well, because you come up with some pretty demented stuff. So I would hope that there would have to be some.
Yeah. And, I don't know where like 99% of it comes from. Like for me, it's literally like watching a movie play out in my head and I'm just writing it down as fast as I can. I've had plenty of books where I'd write a scene and I'd push my computer across the desk when I'm done and like, holy hell, where did that come from? But there is no answer to it. The characters to me are all very real people. They're all very different people and their opinions aren't necessarily my opinions, which may seem very strange to somebody who's not an author, but that's the way it is for me.
And that makes perfect sense to me because I find that as you're reading a book, if you're reading the book as if you're reading characters, it's harder to keep track of it than if these are people that you're meeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like for me, I met Billy at the beginning of your story. I got to know Billy and then I got to, know Maddie. And so it's different because you can remember a real person better than a character, in my opinion.
Yeah. And, I've studied it. Stephen King's one of my all-time favorite writers.
Me too.
I read everything that he writes, and then I'll go back through with a highlighter as an author and go, well, how did he do this? How did he do that? And he is fantastic at creating people in like 2 or 3 sentences. His short stories in particular are a great teaching tool if you ever want to learn that particular skill set. But yeah, I've studied it, so I tried to implement it. But, again, like before I sit down to write a book like the one you just read, like I know those people inside and out. The author, I think, really should. Like if you sit down, 3 of your characters, put them in front of you and ask them all the same question, you should get 3 different answers, just like you would if you sat 3 real people in front of you. If you don't, then you need to further develop your characters because they're not quite there yet.
And it's so interesting to me because as a person with autism, social cues and personalities, those types of things tend to be a struggle for a lot of people, ADHD and autism. And you tend to have that as a strength rather than as a struggle.
Well, I think once you understand it, just like anything else, then you can turn it into a positive.
And so you just kind of flip it around and
Yeah, I mean, it's either going to be an anchor that's weighing you down or it could be something that you can use to get ahead. And I choose to get ahead.